I can't separate my true desires from the culturalization of the phenomenon of motherhood.
I was raised in a society where these expectations were put upon me, expectations that are really quite limiting, still within my right to choose if I want to live in that way, but like, wow, I'm capable of so much more. Just my daily response to incels and Reese's YouTube comments. It's a fun pastime of mine.
Just Lauren defending me to the incels in my YouTube comments. Being a good friend. We're busting philosophy out of the old stuffy lecture hall and setting it loose on the world of creativity. Join us as we explore the unwritten aesthetic.
Hello.
And welcome
Internet.
back. Hello, Internet. And welcome back to the Unwritten Aesthetic. Lauren, as always, so fabulous to see you. How are you doing today? I know you said you're in chaos mode today.
Oh, you betcha. It's laundry, chaos, scooting my chair back and it getting caught on the rug and me not being able to move it anywhere between the chair and the rug and my desk.
Yeah.
Lots of that. But otherwise, pretty good. Can't complain.
Nice.
How are you?
I love it. I'm doing good. Actually, I've had a pretty great morning.
Nice.
You know how, like, you have a routine that you really like, but you just don't always do it? And it's like, why? I just need to do it because I feel good when I do it. And this morning, I, like, actually woke up without snoozing and did my routine. I like meditated a little bit, did a little bit of yoga, fed my dog and hung out with her for a little bit, journaled a little bit, and now I'm here. And it's
so
been
nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel great. I need to just do the things that I know I need to do to take care of myself because unfortunately it works.
Sometimes it's easier said than done though. I know exactly what you mean. Like my sleep schedule is, if there's any sort of routine when it comes to my sleep schedule, it's that it is routinely fucked up. Like it's never
That's
never
really funny.
It's never uniform. And I mean, I've been getting better about it, sort of, but lately not so much. I mean, last night I went to bed at like 3, I think. And like I couldn't go to sleep, and I was I woke up like, well, I hadn't been asleep yet, but I got up in the middle of the night and I was like, I guess I'll just make myself a snack. But it was Sunday and it's Germany, so nothing's open. So I was like, I'm just gonna make myself some lentil pasta? What the fuck? With spinach? It's 3 a.m. Go to sleep. So I ate my pasta and then I went to sleep. But why am I chaos mode? But long story short, I always feel so much better, even if I didn't get enough sleep, like just waking up when I told myself I'd wake up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the day is so young, and here I am awake, and other people are also awake at this time.
Yeah.
Like, I hate waking up and being like, oh my God, what time is it?
No, literally.
Like, no,
and
like being like, no. It's
just starting the day without that, like, stress is like,
it's so good.
Oh, this is what it feels like to have normal cortisol levels in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably a good thing to have. Well, and also another thing that I was thinking of, because I'm really bad at midnight snacking too. But because your body is digesting still, you don't sleep as well.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Reese, this wasn't a snack. I made myself a whole dinner at 3 a.m. Pasta, spinach.
Although I will say, better to eat something than not have eaten dinner.
Well, the problem is I wake up so late that I basically, like, that would be my normal dinner time, you know?
There you go.
But, no, I'm a snacker. I'll admit it. I love snacks.
Not ashamed to say.
Not ashamed to say it. Reese, what's your favorite snack?
Whoa. That's
a
really good question.
That's what we do here.
So,
or at least your current favorite.
Yeah. My, like, I always have in the fridge, and if I don't know what to eat, it is just the thing I do, is carrots and hummus, because that is such an easy thing that it's like, it's always on my grocery list. I always have it in the fridge. I can always grab it.
Carrots and hummus is good.
I will say, I've been doing just a lot of peanut butter toast.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I'm like, every time I do it, I'm like,
it's delicious.
It's delicious and it's filling and you get protein.
I love peanut butter toast.
But I'm like, also, I know my body operates best with high protein, high fat, low carb. And so I really shouldn't be doing like breads as a snack.
No.
And also, I'm kind of peanut sensitive. Like,
oh, really? Oh, well, don't do that.
Right. So I do it and then I'm like, why do I feel
why
like
is my
not
skin,
great?
like itchy and like I feel tired.
No, literally, I'm like, why do I have brain fog at 3 p.m? And my parents are like, because you're eating you just ate peanut butter.
No, Reese.
Yeah.
Well, see, you could switch it up and do almond butter. I don't know if you're sensitive to almond butter.
That's true. Almond butter, and then maybe like one of those
rice. Be a little bit more
rice
that's what
cakes.
I do.
Yeah,
I do like rice cakes, or there's these weird, like, I don't know what they're like crackers sort of, but it's gluten free, so it's some sort of weird whatever
thing,
like cardboard tasting thing, but I like it. They're like these little crackers, and I'll put like almond butter on those. Maybe some banana slices.
Yum.
And also apples. If here's some lore about me. I eat an absurd amount of apples.
Really? I don't know if I knew this about you. No.
Oh my gosh. No. Oh my gosh. Oh, I wish I could have. I took it off my wall, but I had an apple sticker wall in my kitchen where, like, every time I would eat a pink lady, I would take it off. I'd put it on the tile. And it was, like, not even for that long, like, from, like, November to probably March or April. And there was already, like, at least 250 stickers. At least.
That's so many apples. That's
Reese,
so many
apples. Here's the craziest part.
That's like 3 apples a day.
I know. That was just the pink ladies, though, because I wanted the stickers to match.
Of course.
So if it wasn't... But there were other apples consumed during that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bad day to be an apple when you see Lauren Bush coming.
Doctors hate me.
Doctors hate
That's why,
me.
you know what? That's probably why I can't get a doctor's appointment here in Germany. It's because...
Now it all connects. Now we know.
Now
we know. That's so funny.
Sorry, I've immediately infused chaos mode into the conversation.
No, it's perfect. Because honestly, I feel like sometimes philosophy is basically just chaos mode, or philosophy needs more chaos mode.
Yes.
Oh, those I just remembered. The two forms of philosophy are chaos mode and needs chaos.
Yeah, I think if you do philosophy with not enough chaos, like sort of a meticulous, like unwilling,
rigorous,
like an unwillingness to go brain spaghetti mode, then how are you gonna find the real insights? Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, well, I know you mentioned that you had a question that sparked from our last episode. I would love to hear it, and I think we're just going to see where the conversation takes us for the listeners. So I'm excited to be on the ride today.
Absolutely. Well, so we were talking about sort of like quarter life crises, not really crises, but like hopefully not, but like a moment of reflection or whatever. And I wanted to ask you, it's kind of like a cliche question, but like, what's something about your life now that you think Lil Reese, like childhood Reese, would be most surprised by? Like, what do you think the younger version of you would find most surprising or unexpected about the way your life has turned out currently?
Wow. I think, interestingly, it would be some of the more practical parts of my life, because one thing that has always been so consistent for me is knowing that I don't want a traditional job. I don't want to I'm fine like having a boss and working for someone else and having clients, but like I want to have creative freedom in what I do, and I want to really be making a difference with that and feel really fulfilled through it. that has
Mhm.
always been consistent. And so I think the idea that like I am doing that would be like, duh. I think what I'm doing would maybe be different because there's a period in my life where I was like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to move to LA
Right.
and be a struggling actor and wait tables. And so until I become a famous and successful actor, of course.
You're right.
But so I think at a period in my life that might have been surprising, but by the time I was in high school, I think I was pretty open to the idea that like I feel this purpose. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like, but like performance will probably be a part of it. And, you know, I consider this performance in some regard just because it is like being recorded, even though it's
Yeah.
personality. It's not like I'm playing a character, but
Mhm.
I think the practicality of like the fact that I'm still in Texas would be surprising. Even though I moved to Italy for a year, I don't think that would have been surprising. I think the fact that I
Hmm.
am still here now, though, would be surprising. And that, like, maybe some of the things that I still struggle with that I haven't fully, like, processed yet. Because I think when I was younger, there was also this idea of, like, well, and by the time I'm about this age, like 25 or like 22-ish, when I graduate college, I'm going to feel so confident and I'm going to have worked through all my insecurities and I'm going to be so successful that like I could never feel like a lack of self-worth ever again. But I
Mhm.
think to tie it into what we were talking about last episode, one of my biggest learnings about being in quarter life is that the same there's very common themes that I come back to again and again and again in my life. And I think a lot of the time, the challenges that we face that cycle through, it's kind of like a spiral. So you'll hit like a
A
different
Geyer, one could
level,
say.
like a Geyer, one might think. So you'll kind of hit like a different lens through which you see the same
Yeah.
uh archetypal experience, but it
Yeah.
roots back to the same thing. And for me, a really big one is like shame and self-worth, and then
Mhm.
also like creativity and the creative process um are like two that I kind of go back and forth between, which I think creativity makes sense. You're not set up really, you're not told that that's something that you should solve, but
Mm.
the self-worth piece, you're told like you should be well adjusted and don't be insecure,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that that was one that like I think I might be surprised that that's still a common theme for me, but I think that that is just obviously I've gotten better, well, quote unquote better. Like what does better look like? I experience that cycle very differently now, and I feel
Right.
like I have a healthier relationship with it psychologically. But I think a lot of that is tied to perception, and putting yourself out there very publicly brings up different aspects that I wasn't used to experiencing before. And being an adult and providing for yourself versus being a kid and relying on someone else to take care of you brings up different questions of worth and self-worth too. So it's just like as life changes, the way that I measure my worth changes, and so the cycle
Mm.
keeps cycling. But I think the big things Lil Reese would actually be like, that's pretty cool. That sounds good to me.
That sounds good to me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so interesting.
What
Yeah, no,
about you?
well, I definitely like the idea of cycling through the same sort of like a returning to the same. I don't want to call it a problem, but like we'll just call it a problem, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's not like a failure or a regression, it's a sort of refinement almost. Like it's like the
Yeah.
same story but in a different font, you know?
Yes.
Um yeah, that's definitely something I can relate to. But hmm.
Well, an analogy that came to my head was like when you're sanding down like a piece of furniture or a piece of wood, you start with a really like rough sandpaper to start, and
Yeah.
then you get finer and finer and finer sandpaper as you go down to make it smoother and smoother and smoother. And I think that's kind of what it feels like. It's like we're still sanding the same piece of furniture, but
Yeah.
it's refining, and you're returning to that same thematic cycle. And also, I just think that that's something deeply human. And as a kid, I really wanted, like, and one day when I'm an adult, this will make sense. This will be solved. And it's like, oh,
this will
yeah.
be done.
No, that's not how that works. Yeah. What about you? What do you think Lil Lauren would think about life in Germany and philosophy school and
that's
painting and everything?
Well, because I'm not really sure. See, this is one of those questions, like a difficult question that I ask people, having no idea how I would answer, knowing that probably at the end they're gonna be like, "How about you?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know." But and no, it's interesting to me that both of our lives took kind of a similar trajectory in terms of us both being really engrossed in the performing arts, and really fully expecting that was 100% going to be our futures. Like, I wanted to be a professional dancer. Like, it's not even that I wanted to, like, I was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that many authority figures in my life told me that that would be impossible because of my height and my stature, which don't do that to little girls, by the way.
Yeah.
That's gonna fuck them up.
By the way, don't do that.
Yeah. If you're a dance teacher, don't crush little kids' dreams.
And maybe, like, let's not tell little girls that there's something wrong with their bodies. Like, that's just a thing we shouldn't.
So, it's a little weird.
Kids in general, not just girls, but I think it happens to girls a lot more. But, like,
hot
just
take.
don't tell kids there's something wrong with their body, okay?
Yeah.
Hot take.
Really hot take. Don't give kids body dysmorphia. But really controversial. No,
really controversial.
But I wasn't really, I was like, nah, whatever, I'm gonna make it happen. But I really expected that would be where my life took me. And yeah, I kind of became this thing where it was like, oh, this is just one possible way of expressing this sort of enigma at the heart of being human, that there are many other avenues available to me to explore that. And so I think little Lauren at that age, like up until like freshman year of high school probably, if she found out that we weren't really dancing like that anymore, like just for fun sometimes, I think she'd be really surprised. And yeah, I don't know, philosophy was one of those things that upon discovering it really just completely changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, the arts is still obviously important to me, but yeah, she'd probably be surprised about the painting thing too. Like, oh, we paint like that much? You spend that much time painting? Okay. I don't know. I think there are a lot of things about the way my life have turned out that are kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. I think it makes sense though to me what you said about dance being one way to express like the central question of your life, right? And that is like the enigma of being. And it makes me think of my sentence that I have at the beginning of my thesis that is, if all of life is pointing to one thing, what is that thing? And I think both of us have a similar approach that is like, well, dance can point at this thing, and acting can point at this thing, and painting can point at this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you're a kid, at least for me, don't let me project any of my experience onto you, but for me, I think it felt very much like acting was the first time that I tapped into being able to express the enigma. And I was like, this is the thing. I can never do anything else. And then as I got older, it was like, oh, it's the thing behind the thing that I'm actually fascinated with. This is one way to do it. Now I want to actually look at the thing that's behind the thing. How do you just do that and kind of take out the middleman of performance, even though, like, I still get ideas for, like, short films all the time that are, like, ways to kind of talk around what we talk about on the podcast. And I think that's the beauty of art and, like, the paintings you create, even though it's not a, like, philosophical treatise on ethics and the nature of reality, there is something about it that points at the enigma.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of different mediums for pointing to that one thing.
Yeah.
A bunch of different mediums for honing in on the mystery.
Yeah.
And I think a really special thing about the performing arts is, like, we've talked about how it's, like, pointing at that one thing, but then ideally the arrows go back out.
Yes.
And I think the performing arts are especially good at the pointing out part. Like, because it kind of implies, like, a large audience of sorts. I don't know. Sorry, I got distracted because I saw a light glimmering outside and I thought it was a fire. It's not.
Okay,
No,
good.
It's not.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
glad it wasn't a fire. Fair thing to be distracted by. Yeah, no, that's interesting that you say that, because it does very much imply, like, not only am I in my own world thinking about this thing, but especially with, like, live performance, it's very much a dialogue around it. But I do think any kind of medium, like, when I see a painting at a museum, I still feel like I'm engaging in a dialogue, but I agree with you that there's something different about live dialogue than, like, the delayed dialogue of, like, we pre-record these podcasts and then post them, you know? We're not getting live feedback about what we're talking about, and the feeling of engaging with audience, with people, that, like, when you're on stage, you feel it. It's impossible not to feed off of the energy of an audience. And it kind of imbues it into the work in a little bit of a different way. One thing that came up for me, because I was thinking about it right before we hit record, and then thinking about, like, little us, and then also us both being raised as women, cis women, that I, just because I've been thinking about Simone de Beauvoir, because you raised it in a thing that we were
just
exchanging about.
Just my daily response to incels and Reese's YouTube comments. It's a fun pastime of mine.
Just Lauren defending me to the incels in my YouTube comments.
No, I mean, I know it doesn't make a difference, but I mean, just because I feel like it's, I don't know, it's not something I would usually do.
Yeah.
But because I know it's you, and it's like, I'm sure a lot of people read comments like that and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy, you know? But they don't, because it doesn't do any good, usually.
Yeah.
Because, like, people like that, they comment not to start a dialogue. They comment to state the truth, you know?
Yeah, the quote-unquote truth.
But that was my pastime today, but you were saying.
Yes, so in the comment that you raised referenced Simone de Beauvoir's idea of the myth of woman, and it is a really interesting concept to me. And so I was kind of like, oh, that reminds me, I need to, like, go back and brush up on Simone, on my gal Simone, and her very famous quote, like the most famous quote that if anyone knows anything from Simone de Beauvoir is, one is not born, but is taught becomes woman. And I think that that's really interesting, especially in context of, like, don't tell little girls that there's something wrong with their body, right? Like, that's one very small but specific experience that, like, we both had, and we both, I'm sure most women have some sort of experience with, even if it's not directly, like, you won't be able to live your dream life or pursue your dream career because your body's wrong inherently and you can't do anything to fix it. But even looks like we're going to have to go up to a bigger size, you know, in a dressing room,
it's so sad.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember the first time somebody called me fat, and it was in second grade. And the sad part to me is not that, like, that's the first time that somebody told me that. It's that I still remember that.
Right.
And I like internalized that, and like I'm fine now, but like I am somebody who grew up dancing, and I did struggle with like body image issues, especially like being at a performing arts high school
Yeah.
where the environment was really, quite frankly, toxic. But this even sadder part is that I know I'm not the only very young girl
Right.
who, at an age, I mean, no woman should be like plagued and like burdened with the like constantly thinking about how she is perceived,
Yeah.
and if she's like taking up too much space just by like existing in a body. um but like I know I'm not the only one,
Yeah.
and it's it's really sad, and it's just like stuff like that that over time, like, I don't know if I can flat out agree with the statement that one is not born but becomes woman, because there are biological differences that are relevant,
Well, and
but
it's such a
um
nuanced and
yeah,
complex topic. To boil it down to one sentence is difficult, right?
but it's
But
powerful for a reason, because like
yeah.
there are all of these little things, like all of these societal expectations and norms that just like build on top of women's shoulders, to
Yeah.
the point where it's like no matter how aware you are of them, like as you grow older, um and like how much you kind of process them and work through them, it's like as a young woman at this age, it is impossible to fully escape that. Like it's not,
Yeah.
the overcoming it isn't an escaping it. It's just like a recognition and sort of a processing of it, you know?
Right.
Um but yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know where I got talking about that, but
No, I think
what were you going to
it's
talk about?
no, I just kind of thought I'd bring it up because we were talking about it a little bit before, and then the conversation about around being little made me think about how are you raised to become woman in this kind of that quote always makes me think of the idea of performing womanhood, right? That how do you define what it is to be a woman? And I think so much of it, I do agree with Simone de Beauvoir in that it exists in negation of what it is to be a man, right? And that because
Yeah.
man is default in our society, woman becomes other. And
Yeah.
how does that communicate? Like you said earlier, take up less space because you're other. You are not the center of importance. You need to be quiet. You need to listen. You need to be ladylike, which is being small and polite. And even going back to weight, like, of course, people struggle with weight across the spectrum
Mhm.
of, you know, body image and what is perceived to be beautiful in one's own mind and culture and society. But I think the large majority of people struggle with feeling like they're too big. And
Mhm.
that I think very clearly relates to this idea of taking up too much space. And to be told at a young age, like, suck it in, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, in dance, like you hear that
yeah,
shit all the time. Cause like that is a common way to, again, like it's this just goes to show the importance of having like useful and not harmful analogies for correcting like body posture and technique in dance. Because sucking it in, like that's one way to say it, but really what you mean is that like if this is your spine, everybody's spine has like a natural curve to it, but if this is your spine, like what you mean to say is that like maybe your hips are tilted out and your rib cage is kind of
right.
splayed forward, and at least in ballet you want that to like be in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just tell you to suck it in.
Right.
But
Or like maybe you do need to tighten up your core muscles a little bit,
yeah.
like maybe there is something there, but it's like I remember thinking I can't, like my core is tight and that's just how my
Yeah, yeah.
belly looks. Like I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
fix
like
that.
tighten your core. Like engage your core muscles.
Right.
Don't like suck in your gut or suck in your belly, which is like
Right.
that's something I've heard many dance teachers say.
Yes.
Um
Yes.
yeah.
So I just think that that's really important to be mindful of. And like you said, like, how do you solve something versus just become aware of it, and try and process it, and then like rewire those neural pathways to talk to yourself in a way that feels good, and healthy. Because also we could get into the way that like our mothers talk to themselves.
Yeah.
It builds in a certain inner dialogue that young women have with themselves. But I think the other piece about Simone de Beauvoir specifically that I find really fascinating is the responsibility that she views each of us as having to one another. And the
Yeah.
fact that she is like the foundation of existentialism, feminist existentialism, and is a really important informant on Judith Butler's work regarding sex and gender and the idea of the difference there, which of course is so important for gender ideology and identity now, that it's like it's really foundational stuff for a lot of not just philosophical work, but also like mental
Gender
health and
studies and
psychology.
yeah.
And gender studies, which all of this kind of plays into, which is also important for like political engagement stuff now too. But I think
Yeah.
it's fascinating that her being so foundational and also one of the most well-known women philosophers, her philosophy is also a pretty, I don't want to say selfless one, because it definitely relies upon the self and it implies an importance in your ownership of things. But in that, it places just as much emphasis on how meaning is made through our relationship and duty to other people.
Yeah. I mean, there are some aspects, I would agree with you for the most part. There are definitely some aspects of her work, specifically the second sex, that I would take issue with. Like,
Yeah.
especially when she starts talking about, like, motherhood. I'm like, oh, you didn't have a good relationship with your mom.
Yeah,
like,
there's a
it
couple
really shines
things that are
through.
like,
Because to me, I'm like, if the core pillar of your philosophy is existentialism, like each individual has the freedom to choose what they want to do, then motherhood should also be included in one of those possibilities that one could take up as an authentic pursuit. Um, and she just seems to kind of assume that every mother is sort of living vicariously through their children. And like, but yeah, I mean, there is emphasis on sort of the relationship we have with other people. If I'm remembering correctly, I think she says in the beginning of the book that like every sort of gain in terms of gender equality that women up until that point had gained was basically men choosing to relinquish some extra sprinkles of freedom to them. So it wasn't really like they had done that much. It was still men who were calling the shots.
yeah,
And so on the one hand, it is sort of the personal responsibility of each and every individual to recognize these imbalances and also kind of take up the existentialist charge of like choosing one's own path, which is like something I have my own critiques about. But then
right.
on the other hand, it's like we were just talking about, even if um we each kind of confront these issues and overcome them and say like, I am a woman, but that doesn't need to impose on my ability to do what makes life meaningful for me.
Right.
I'm still living in a world where these structures exist, and I'm still going to find myself burdened with um these sort of norms and expectations that are put upon me. Like, obviously I'm not living the most traditional womanly life. And but like there are still times where I'm like, oh, like I don't look very good in this, like this isn't very flattering, or like, oh, like I should start wearing makeup more, or like, maybe I should grow out my hair finally and like stop fucking cutting my own hair because like it looks bad. But then I always come back to like, I'd rather have a bad haircut that looks kind of cool than a good
Yeah.
haircut. But like those, like it takes effort to not sink back into that. And then I think there's maybe I can find a quote from her about this. Probably not, because I have so many documents in my laptop about this stuff. But let's see.
While you're looking for that real quick, I just so hear a parallel between which I haven't really made this connection blatantly before, but I think it's always kind of been there. But this existentialist idea of like choosing every day, every moment, the awareness of choosing and choosing meaning, is very similar to David Foster Wallace's Kenyon College commencement address, This Is Water,
Oh,
which I recommend. I enjoy it. About
it's a
like
short
choosing.
listen or watch.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
or read.
D, all of the above. But like choosing awareness as opposed to kind of sinking back into the mundanity of like it's so easy to be distracted by reality from reality. And I think that
Yeah,
that is true of all of us in some sense of like reality can distract us from the enigma. In the same way that like being a woman, it's easy to like be distracted from your awareness of like actively rewiring your idea of what your gender and womanhood means to you. It's easy to
yeah,
be like, this doesn't look very flattering on me, you know? And is that
yeah.
the way that you want to express your womanhood or not? But just a
I
thought
mean,
on the
yeah.
choice comparison there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is like, and this is kind of the paradox of it, because once a woman has become aware, like, oh, there are these sort of, I was raised in a society where these expectations were put upon me, expectations that are really quite limiting, still within my right to choose if I want to live in that way, but like, wow, this, like, I'm capable of so much more. And then the paradox comes in when it's like, at least on her account, and this is something I do agree with, like, let's say I become like a CEO of a big company, but if I kind of parade around the fact that, like, oh, I'm a woman in like a male dominated field, and like I've done so well for myself considering the fact that I'm a woman, or like despite the fact that I'm a woman, it's still kind of like, is that really, are you really kind of living your own freedom? Or are you still
Right.
kind of constraining what you think is possible for yourself based on these expectations and norms that, yes, granted, you are pushing back on and overcoming, but in acknowledging, like, oh, I'm doing so good because this is where the bar was, and look where I am, like,
Right.
it's still sort of um like, I don't there's like a phrase for it where it's um like, it's almost accepting the low expectations that you were
Mm.
born into, and then praising yourself for transcending those low expectations. But really, like, you shouldn't even be thinking about those limitations. Unless, I mean, I feel like we're kind of living in a time where, like, in terms of equality of opportunity for women, not for all women necessarily, but like, generally speaking, we're going in the right direction. And like,
Right.
I can apply to like any job I want to if I'm qualified, and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it is interesting because I agree with you that we're moving in the right direction, but it's interesting how like the echoes of it still reverberate through um behavior, not
Yeah.
just in like, of course, I think everyone's had like a sexist experience at
Oh
some
yeah.
point in their life that it's like, oh well, that's not cool, and people still think like that, you know, like we were talking about earlier
Oh
with the
yes.
incels up in our
They
comments.
certainly do. They really do.
But
A lot.
at the
It's
same
crazy.
right, but at the same time, if you were to just look at the like front facing laws, like well, I guess there's a debate there with Roe v. Wade, but
Yeah.
I agree that we're moving in the right direction and we're better than we ever have been, certainly in terms of the rights of women. But it going back to what you're talking about with the choice of being a mother too, it's like any choice you make, even as you think about the ability to move beyond what women before us have done, like if you're raising above the bar, you're still defining yourself by the bar, right? And
Yes.
that's something that I've thought about a lot in my relationship to motherhood. And if I want to be a mother and do I want to have kids, there is something in me that is so resistant to the idea of
Really?
being a mom. Like,
Oh.
even though I'm a very,
Yeah, see, I almost caught
like,
myself. I was about to say, like, you would be a great mom, which, like, you would, but, like,
thank you.
like,
Well, that's something that a lot of people say, you know, and I always
yeah.
take it as a compliment because what I hear when people say that is you're a very nurturing person, you're a very warm person, you care very deeply, and those are qualities that I'm very proud to have.
Mm-hmm.
But do we need I think I resist like the necessity of that being equated with motherhood,
Yeah, like,
especially
there are
like
other things that you can do with those wonderful
right.
qualities.
And
So
if
it's
you
like, why is
saw
everyone saying, like, "Oh, I'm recognizing you have these qualities," and then jumping straight to, "Oh my god, when are you gonna have kids?"
right, right. And I
Yeah.
think that like it's very rare to hear you would be such a good father. You know, even if a man is very nurturing and kind and warm, it's like I
That's
think
true.
I've never heard that said. So
Yeah.
I I I have but what I was going to say is like I'm very resistant to it, but then there's this because I don't think that it's really what I want in this lifetime. However, there's a piece of me as someone who like strongly identifies as an intersectional feminist that is aware of the like counter reaction that I could be having to the expectation of
Yeah, yeah,
motherhood,
yeah.
right?
Like,
And
rejecting that so strongly is also a sort of, like, defining yourself it's still defining yourself within, like, a man's world, in a way. Because
exactly,
it's like,
and that
"Oh, this is this expectation that I'm supposed to be like this, but, you know,
and
well,
I
I
will
don't wanna do what
never
men tell me to do, so" yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I really resent the fact that I will never know what my feeling is in isolation. Because
Mm.
even if I do feel this way now, it's like that's still a valid thing to feel. But I wish that I had a feeling that didn't exist in the paradigm where I feel like choosing to be a mother comes with a whole
Yeah.
host of other things about feminism and motherhood and womanhood and the
Yeah.
list goes on and like I can't separate my true desires from the culturalization of the phenomenon of motherhood. And I think that goes back to what you were saying about the bar, right?
Mhm.
And even the choice to like be a girl boss CEO, which is very much the like I think we're moving out of that age of feminism for
Yeah.
sure. And I've seen a lot of people arguing that we're moving into a new age of feminism, which I think is
Oh.
exciting. Which I think that's only something that can be defined in retrospect. But all of that to say, I think that is a similar thing too, where women, the same way I can't separate my decision to be a mother from all of these complex feelings and emotions around womanhood and feminism, we also can't separate our decision to like be a girl boss CEO and rise above the expectation from the idea that it's like, well, am I just wanting to do that to like prove a point?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
is this really what I want, you know? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
when you've been told you're supposed to want something your whole life, like how much is rebellion, how much is true desire, and how much is some weird combination therein of different socialization and cultural expectations.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with you, and I think, like, another really good instance of this, like, sort of like a counterpart to the girl boss, archetype with, like, this, rebellion against, expectations and, like, a rebellion against, like, this, like, myth of woman. is controversial. Here we go. Hypersexualization. Like, this is something we see online a lot. And I think that's also, it's like another sort of rebellious, like, counterpart to the girl boss archetype, where it's like, oh, people, like, men are, like, objectifying me, and that's the world I'm born into. But what if I use that to, like, empower, like, I treat that as, like, my power,
Right.
and sort of, like, use that against men, like, use it to, like, make money or gain, like, attention or whatever. And I really do think that's sort of like a collective coping, or like a collective trauma response a lot of women have to growing up in a society that objectifies them and somehow either more or less explicitly tells them that their value is somehow like intertwined with their physical appearance. Um so that's my controversial take about that.
No, I
And
think
then
that. Sorry,
yeah.
continue.
Oh, well, it's kind of a different point, so
Okay,
but
I
I'll
want to hear
remember.
your
I
other
took a
point.
note.
Okay, cool. On that, I think.
Oh
Sorry,
no.
I just choked on my own spit.
Hey, your bottle
Really
matches your.
ladylike.
Hey, we're defying the stereotypes here. But your
That's so
bottle
funny.
matches your thing.
It does.
Mine doesn't.
Look at me. That's okay. It kind of does. The red and orange, it's close.
No.
But I think that that's really interesting, especially as someone who, like, sexuality is such a complicated spectrum as it
Yeah.
is. But then when we go into, like, monetization of it in sex work, I do think there's a weird nuance, or weird, but like a nuance that we have to hold, that is respect for the choice of, it's like,
Yeah.
it is your body and you get to make that choice, and I
Absolutely.
have respect for that. But like similarly with like Tradwives too, where it's like,
Mhm.
well, I guess I think of Tradwives and sex workers as very differently, but it's interesting because I want to avoid slipping into choice feminism, because choice feminism is a flaw within feminism that says, well, every single woman's choice is valid. That's what we fought for as feminists.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Even if that choice flies in the face of feminism.
Oh,
And
okay.
other people are saying that's not true. Intersectional feminism is actually about making sure all women have access to equality, and therefore all people and all humans have access to the same freedoms. And so what feminists fought for is not the right for you to fight against them. They fought for equality for all people.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird thing where it's like, as someone who tries very hard to be an intersectional feminist, I'm like, well, if I'm fighting for freedom for all people to express their freedom in the same manner, that means women are going to do things that I don't like Tradwives stuff. But also, I can still, I think the nuance I try to hold with that is, I can respect that you have a choice to do that and still vehemently disagree with it and think that you shouldn't be doing that. And with sex work, I think for me, it's slightly different in that I respect that you have the choice to do that. I might not make that choice, but also, I don't know why, I feel more complex about if that flies in the face of feminism or not.
I'm fully comfortable with saying I like, I agree with you. Like, it's your choice. Part of feminism is like giving everyone the freedom to choose. But then there's like the existentialist kind of like, but also it shouldn't infringe on the freedom of others.
Right.
My issue with sex work really is like, and I know it's such a complex issue, but my problem is the knowledge that many women enter into sex work, especially like OnlyFans and stuff like that, like online stuff, not because they're desperate and they need money, but because, like, oh, this is a way I can make a lot of money. Oh my God, look how much money that girl is making. Oh my gosh, she's like a celebrity now. Like, it's not out of desperation. It's like, it's out of the ease of availability of that possibility of making money. I don't know, that there was a lot of words ending in Y just then. I don't know.
Right.
But
But does
like,
taking advantage of the system still perpetuate the system in a
yes.
dangerous way?
Yes.
Is what you're kind of
I would
suggesting.
confidently say yes. And
Which,
like hypersexualization, not in every case, but a lot of the times it is a sort of trauma response. Like, or if you don't want to use the word trauma, like, I know I'm not the only woman who's heard other ladies say, like, and like I've thought this to myself at one point, like when I was young and like I had started dating, and I quickly realized like men were like lying to me essentially and saying like, oh no, like I really like you, like I want to date you, you know, but really they just want to like hook up and stuff.
yeah.
And I know I'm not the only girl who kind of thought like, oh, this is the game then. All right, well, let me just play it better if this is the game. If this is how men see me and this is how they're going to treat me, like at least let me benefit from it. At least let me
Yeah.
profit from it in some, like monetarily or like in some other means.
Right.
Luckily, I didn't stick around in that mindset very long because I quickly realized that that's very harmful. Not only to
Yeah.
men, you know, like it not only perpetuates this sort of like, oh, all women are bitches and like, oh, all men are pigs. It just kind of perpetuates that, but also for
Yeah.
myself, it was really harmful.
Yeah.
But I think that leads a lot of women into, you know, profiting off of their bodies and their sexuality essentially. But again, that I have very strong yet empathetic and sympathetic. I never remember the difference.
Right.
Opinions about this thing.
Yeah. No, I absolutely hear that. I think one
like
of my questions,
it's out of like sadness and love for women, knowing that many of them probably are doing this because they have been hurt. Like that's what makes me sad. Not all women, again.
Right.
But
so that was going to be
yeah.
my question: is does intentionality come into your analysis of this at all? Because I know you said like a vast majority of women do this because it's like, oh, I can make a lot of money doing this. Does that change your read of different people's engagement with sex work at all? Or do you still fall on the, in general, it's pretty bad for women as a whole?
I'm really not so sure, and this is why I keep qualifying all my statements, because
Sure.
just like we just mentioned, like with the motherhood thing, it's really impossible to like tease out those nuances, like even for yourself. So it's impossible for me to do that for any other woman. I can't.
Yeah.
Like this is just based on my own personal experience and
Totally.
like for myself, and also just conversations with other women.
Yeah.
But it's really impossible to say, and I feel like that's one of the tricky parts about having any sort of feminist discussion is it's like women are not a monolith. Like that was Simone de Beauvoir's whole point. And so
they're also different.
It's impossible to generalize.
I think that's a really great point. And also I'll just qualify again, like everything that both of us say here, we're always in process, and nothing we say we want to be concretized forever. Like this is an open conversation where you're seeing us explore these ideas and claims that we have and believe right now, and we may keep them forever. They may change tomorrow. But I think too, I guess I'll say, I think that's a really interesting take. Sex work is something that I just really haven't made up my mind about, because I definitely have leanings that you're like that are similar to yours about like, but isn't it harmful, even if you feel like you are doing this in an empowered, reclaiming your power sense?
I don't think it's
there's something about me, right, there's something about it that feels like, is that just a self-manipulation to take advantage of the way the system has been leveraged against us? But then there's this other part of me that's very aware of the Southern Texas Christian environment I was raised in. No, like
Sure,
sex
yeah.
was always labeled as evil and bad and icky and gross. And women's bodies constantly being objectified. It's like exactly like you just
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
really
teasing out those
struggle,
things is, yeah.
right, like with coming down on it because I know that I have those kind of in the
Yeah.
background
Yeah, me too.
playing out. And exactly like you said, women aren't a monolith. Even if I might feel a certain way about being a sex worker, I'm also never going to tell a woman that her experience isn't her experience, even if maybe
Yeah.
I would disagree with it and I might have my own like psychological reading of it, like I do for Tradwives. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's no one knows what's going on inside someone else's own experience, and it
Exactly.
really makes it difficult. And I think that's why it's so nuanced. But I think it is
Yeah.
interesting. There's clearly,
Like if someone came up to me and they were like, I do OnlyFans, I've been doing it for years, I love it. It's given me so much freedom. I'm a very like sexual person. I love doing all this. Like even if I had my own like thoughts, I would never be like, no, you just don't get it. Like you're really traumatized and that's why you're doing it. Like some people probably genuinely enjoy it and
yeah.
like that's their right to do. I do think it is mutually objectifying for men as well though, which is another
Mm,
hot take that I have about it. Like cuz in wanting to profit off of your body, it's also a sort of it's using yourself but it's also using men.
mm.
Um,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you
You mean
know.
even like men that are clients of women sex workers? It's objectifying in that scenario, not even in
Yeah.
the like reverse. There are men that are porn stars that are theoretically objectified
Well,
too.
that too, but
But you
in each
mean,
case, I think there's like a mutual objectification. And like I'm talking mostly about like online like porn and
mhm.
stuff like that. Um in person, like I don't I feel like that's much more complicated and um yeah, like I feel like if
Yeah.
somebody was desperate for money and they were doing like all they could to survive, they would like I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting, interesting. I think my final thing I'll put on that too is just because you brought up actually like porn, I think my biggest beef with sex work in general across the board is not just women sex workers or the idea of feminism, but the porn industry as a whole, I think is mentally very damaging, especially for young men.
Yes,
And that makes
absolutely.
women's lives a lot more dangerous.
Absolutely. Like the
And
rise of like I I was doing some research on this. It's not where the paper ended up, but on the rise of there's a YouTube video I watched about this that we will have to link in this video because it's very
yeah,
interesting.
absolutely.
But like the increased rates of like violent sex. Like
Oh,
like more like choking and stuff like that being considered more like vanilla. Like more people are doing that.
I had a friend
And like
who
why is
was
that becoming more common?
I have
It's
a friend who's very much more sexually free than I am, and she was telling me about her experience with this, and I'm going to double check with her. I might edit this part out. We'll see. Um
okay.
but she was telling me that through like the last like 7 years of having like pretty regular sex with different partners, it has gotten more and more violent up until the point of like
Oh man.
pretty violent acts being something that people wouldn't even ask her before
Yeah,
they did.
there's no conversation or consent
And
about
I'm
it.
like, if anyone grabbed
That's
my throat
terrifying.
without asking before, I am finding a weapon. Like,
Yeah, no,
you
seriously.
don't just
No,
get to
that's
do that.
baffling to me. Like not even like casually or flirtatiously being like, so like what kind of stuff are you into? Like just
Right.
being like, let me just go ahead. That's
Right.
crazy. But
Yes.
it's like there's actually some statistics on this on like how it's
That's
becoming
so
more
fascinating.
common. And I don't think people realize I don't want to scare people. And this isn't like a prudency, like no, no, no kind of thing, but like it is actually bad for your brain,
Yeah.
even if you're not losing consciousness. So that's scary.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, and like the pass out game that kids used to
oh my
play
God.
that wasn't even like a sexual thing. It was just one of those like you can make
I
yourself
hope
pass
that's not
out.
happening anymore.
I think it still
Oh
does,
God.
but it's not as common. But
Yeah.
you know,
Just
I
like
heard
basically just seeing stuff on the internet and be like, oh, I want to try that. Even if it's like
I
if
don't
it's a
know if
stupid TikTok
I
challenge
was about
or
to
like
say eating Tide
porn,
Pods, cinnamon challenge, like all of the chugging milk challenge, like all of
BDSM, they're
these
all in the same.
cinnamon challenge, BDSM, all of the
No,
same.
I mean, it's fine if you're like two consenting adults and you've
Right. Well,
had a
and
conversation about it, but
informed and educated in communication about it,
just
right?
assuming that's like normal, like that violent sex is
Yeah.
normal, that's scary.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
You know, there's a podcast that I actually really love and I find deeply fascinating. It's with Ife and his partner's name is M, and I'm gonna forget her last name, but her first name is M. We'll also link it down below. And they are very open about the fact that they have an ethical, non-monogamous, like BDSM relationship. And their podcast is relationship advice.
Oh.
And it has been so informative for me about
wow.
the depth of respect and communication in kink relationships and seeing the absolute, like, just depth of respect that these two people have for each other. It gives me goosebumps thinking about like how beautiful their relationship is, because truly the foundation that you have to be able to have that level of trust with someone is such a level of strength. But I think that is like the bar that we're trying to reach there, right? That it's like we need to balance how we engage in more. I don't necessarily want to use the word taboo because I don't think that it necessarily is. What I'm trying to say doesn't necessarily just relate to things that we culturally deem as like off color or darker, but things that could potentially be dangerous or violent to someone, like sex work. Like we know that people in the porn industry are taken advantage of, but there's also ethical porn that's made. I think all around when it comes to sexual conversations, the baseline just has to be like informed consent,
Mutual
and
respect.
mutual respect, and trying to be as cognizant about your own mental health as well. And I think that's something that I'm really taking from what you shared about your opinion on sex work is like, it's not just about like making sure the woman is safe in conducting sex work, but like her mental health matters in that too.
I mean,
And obviously that's her choice to make, but that just physical health is not the only thing we should be thinking about in this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, my issue, just to be completely clear, my issue with sex work is not like, it's not that I think it's objectively wrong. Like I'm all for people being like open and feeling like they can like express their sexuality, and like I don't think it's something that needs to be like, we can't talk about this. We cannot do this.
That actually makes it more dangerous.
Exactly. But my issue is more so like how it's being done and why, like why women are finding themselves, and men as well, finding themselves in that sort of line of work. And that it's not always like a free girl boss sort of moment where they're like, I'm just empowering myself. Like that's what makes me sad.
Well,
but
and
again,
to tie it,
I couldn't qualify my statements enough.
No, absolutely. And I think to tie that back into existentialism and Simone de Beauvoir, like the whole thing with existentialism is like actively making informed choices about yourself, right? It's like we're not just making choices. We're trying to do so in a way that gives something meaning, and that means deeply understanding the self. And of course, through experiences, you come to understand the self better, but I think there's absolutely a parallel here with like someone choosing to be a sex worker and choosing anything in life. It's like is there really anything we should be doing on a whim? You know, like
Yeah.
almost anything besides like almost anything besides like what are you going to eat for dinner should probably have some intentionality and thought behind it. And I think something as with as much gravitas as sex work should too. But you had your
Gravitas.
other point as well. And I want to
Oh.
make sure we get to it.
Oh, this was kind of like a random, kind of, well, I don't know. You were mentioning how, like, you feel this sort of resistance to people telling you, like, oh, you'd be a good mom, or like you feel a resistance towards,
Yeah.
like, the idea of being a mother. And, like, if there was any sort of way to be able to untangle those nuances and say, like,
Yeah.
oh, no, this is actually just something I'm not interested in for my life, or actually, I just feel this resistance because it's what's expected of me.
Right.
And I feel like recently this is kind of like TMI, but I don't really care. I feel like recently and then again, I don't know if it's actually me untangling the nuances or if it's just sort of a confrontation with the expectations. But I
Mm.
recently, uh, well, long story short, I was recently told that if I wanted to ever get pregnant, it would basically have to be with like in vitro fertilization or
Lauren,
something.
I was told that when I was 13 years old. And I was
What?
talking to someone about this the other day. And I was like,
They don't
I
want us to have
wonder.
sex. That's just
They don't want us.
It's a conspiracy
We need to
theory.
be sex workers. We need to rebel.
That's the only option.
But literally, so all
13?
this to
What the
say,
fuck?
not trying to like rip your point away from you, but
No, I'm curious now. I gotta hear this.
I was thinking about this the other day that I was like, is that part of why I don't want to have kids? Is because subconsciously I've grown up my entire life thinking that it was going to be
Like
relatively impossible.
yeah.
That like
Damn.
and
Right.
I will never know. I will never be able to go back and tell 13-year-old Reese like maybe it's not difficult.
I
You
mean,
know?
they tell women, like, there's tons of women who have been told, like, you're basically infertile, and then they'll just, like, get pregnant. Like, it happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. But, yeah, long story short, I found out my ovaries look like chocolate chip cookies, and I've been pretty
Do you have
upset about it.
cysts?
Yeah, well, technically, they're not cysts. They're just follicles that have not formed properly. So, like,
Okay.
usually you get, like, a couple follicles, and then one, it gets, like, nourished more, and then the egg, like, pops out of it, and it, like, travels around, and maybe, like, I don't know. I've just been doing research into it, but
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess I asked that because I was wondering if it was PCOS, and also
Oh, yeah.
anything that you want to cut out, we can.
No, I don't really care, and I mean, it definitely has been a major, like, point in my life where I've been confronting a lot of these, like, traditional womanly expectations.
Yeah.
Because, like, and this is one that maybe I'm not so good about because I've just kind of learned about it, but, like, I've been blaming myself so much for having hormonal imbalances, basically. And because I mean, it's a syndrome. It's probably going to end up being one of those things where, like, in a decade or two, they're going to be like, oh no, this was a bunch of different issues, but it's women and the medical system, so we just call it a syndrome.
Just about to say that also
Yeah.
all of this goes back to like women not being the default, and therefore
Yeah.
men being the subject of all of these scientific investigations, and like hormones, like female hormones, are just not studied, and
Hormones are
instead,
so important,
and
you know?
we have ridiculous amounts of hormones being pumped through our body in the
The
form of birth
thyroid?
control,
I've never had
the thyroid.
Well, that's
that,
my
like,
issue with it because,
yeah,
like, if the solution or, like, the treatment for PCOS, if it's not birth control, is lifestyle changes. Like, it's like, eat healthy, exercise, lose weight, and I'm like, I eat healthy, I exercise almost daily, and I don't need to lose any more weight.
right.
Like, And so that's really frustrating. And
Yeah.
also, like, why can't I just figure out, like, how to fix this, how to, like, make my body fix itself instead of just,
Right.
like writing another woman a prescription for birth control when she doesn't want it.
Right. Which, and I will
Yeah.
say, not to necessarily poo-poo birth control, one of my favorite facts that I learned from Melinda Gates' book, The Moment of Lift, is the number one way to bring a third world country to a first world country is by supplying women with birth control. When women have control of their bodies, it's amazing for everyone, for literally everyone.
100%.
And so it's a really important invention, and it's something we definitely need, and something that I want all women to have access to. However, we definitely need more research into it, and how do we take care of ourselves and our bodies and protect ourselves from, like, unwanted pregnancy, in speaking of violent sex, right? In a way that isn't going to completely imbalance you. Because I've had several friends who have gone on the journey of weaning off of birth control, and they're like, my brain fog is gone. I'm sleeping better. I've lost
Dude, I
weight.
felt amazing. I stopped taking it like back in November, and I felt amazing.
There you
but
go.
Also, I was.
There's so much research that we still need on women's bodies, specifically reproductive health. But sorry, go ahead.
Like, well, like I'm taking it again now because they're like, this is the only treatment. And like, I was freaked out because I'm like, well, I don't want like endometrial cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess let me take. I've been so nauseous every day. I'm so tired and so nauseous.
Do you remember in high school? I'm tired and so.
No. It made me think of that because I was like,
yeah.
Because I used to get nauseous pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Like, I was eating ginger candy like it was going out of style. And now I'm realizing, like, oh, it was probably just because I was on birth control. And
it literally
remember,
gives you the symptoms of pregnancy. It's insane. And so...
Yeah, it made you super nauseous, I remember.
Yeah, so for listeners, what I'm referencing with Lauren, so in high school...
you were so composed and chill about it, though. You're like, oh, yeah, I just had
to... So every first period of class for the day, Lauren and I had AP Environmental Science.
It was great.
And
with Mr. Holman.
Mr. Holman, shout out Mr. Holman. And about every day around 8:30, so I would take my medicine on the way to school, and we had cheer practice before school at 7. So about 6:30, I was taking my medicine in the car. About 8:30, I would get horribly nauseous, and I would have to go to the bathroom and throw up. Trigger warning. And
I think
one
you're supposed
day,
to say that before.
before. Fair enough. Retroactive trigger warning. But I would usually have like mints or gum or like wisps in my bag to like, because that's gross. And one day I didn't have anything, and I was like, I literally just threw up. And I came back, and I got so good at it that it's like no one knew. I was just going to the bathroom.
You were way too chill about it. I was like,
and I was like, hey, do you have gum? And Lauren was like, yeah, for sure. Why? And I was like, oh, I just had to throw up. And she's like, are you good? And I'm like, happens like every day.
Yeah, you were way too chill about it.
Well, and now I take it before bed. That way, if I get nauseous, it's in the middle of the night. But if I wake up in the middle of the night now, I feel horrible.
It still makes you nauseous?
Mm-hmm.
Yo!
I know. I need to figure it out. And I don't know. And my doctor doesn't know. This is why we need more medical research for women.
Damn. That's crazy.
Wanted to read a poem maybe to close us out.
Yeah.
If you're open to it.
All I've been talking about for the past 3 days has been hormones, it seems like.
Honestly, it's important.
I really just steered the conversation into this.
No, I brought up Simone de Beauvoir, so.
I mean, it's just one of those aspects of like, I'm not really like a feminist. Like, I probably could be a better feminist. My version of feminism is just like, I'm living my life and I'm a woman, and that's part of how I'm living my life, but it doesn't dictate how I live my life. But that's one aspect where I'm like, oh, it's because I'm a woman, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? That's one
Right.
aspect where I'm really
Right.
got it. All right.
Got it.
So
Got it. Got it.
you're
Got
not
it.
going to do any more like tests or anything to figure out what. Got it. Okay. Birth control? Yeah, of course.
Got
Got
it.
it. Got it.
Babies probably? Okay. Okay.
Babies.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like the other treatments for it is like basically unless you want to get pregnant, then the treatment is birth control.
Yeah.
And I just think that I'm like, what about like other stuff? It's like, well, like, you have PCOS. Do you want to have a baby? No? Take birth control.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a baby, then we'll figure it out. Maybe.
Then lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
And I get that like a lot of stuff can be measured and like monitored with lifestyle changes, but you have to really know your body and your hormones really well to make the targeted lifestyle changes that hormones require.
I mean, I could sleep better. That's probably the main lifestyle. That's probably the one lifestyle change where I'm
but
like,
also,
that could help. Maybe sleep
and
better.
like lowering stress, right, is the other one. But it's like, how many people don't have great sleep and have stressful lives that are still getting other treatments from their doctors that aren't just birth control, you know, even though there are always lifestyle changes, I think, that can help. But it's just frustrating and difficult, and
it's so fun being a woman.
yeah, I do love being a woman.
It is.
So
me too.
this poem is called Poem to My Uterus by Lucille Clifton. And she wrote it when she got a hysterectomy. And I just think it's really, it's, I'll say it's a little graphic, but I think it's really powerful. So, this is Poem to My Uterus by Lucille Clifton. You, uterus, you have been patient as a sock while I have slippered into you my dead and living children. Now they want to cut you out. Stocking I will not need. Where I am going, where am I going? Old girl without you, uterus, my bloody print, my estrogen kitchen, my black bag of desire. Where can I go? Barefoot, without you. Where can you go without me?
Aww, little uterus.
Right? And it was the first time I read a poem that was like, of course, I mean, us talking about like hormones, like the relationship that women have with reproduction is so fraught, but also it's something that's magical and special. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
damn.
Any other closing thoughts? We did kind of go all over today.
We really did. It must be my hormones.
It must be my hormones because I'm a woman.
Women, am I right? Who gave us microphones?
Yeah, hey, they should make podcast equipment more expensive. Am I right?
Yeah. And no, that would be perfect because then, like, if women can't work, then there's no chance they can buy microphones.
You're so right. We solved it.
Yeah, but no, that must be a bad idea because I'm a woman. So we. Oh, it's such a paradox.
Oh, yeah. It's such a paradox. It's so hard.
Being silly.
Yeah. Well, this was great. This was awesome.
Yes.
I love being a woman with you.
Me too. Girl power.
Girl power. And yeah, we'll obviously link resources to Simone de Beauvoir's work. Again, she's a foundational thinker for intersectional feminism. And
if you're interested in like the sex work stuff compared to, I mean, she was writing in like the 50s, I think. But she has a chapter in The Second Sex on the prostitute and the hetera, I think, as well as kind of, it's more like the courtesan, I guess. Those are both relevant to what we discussed, I would say. Motherhood as well. I mean, her take on it is pretty radical. Right. But it's definitely interesting to compare. Like, I think she probably had a little bit of that resistance despite, you know, confronting that resistance in other ways.
Right. Absolutely.
But I'd recommend those chapters.
We'll link all of that down below, and we'll make notes of those chapters too down there. But obviously let us know what you think down below. If you're a woman, do you have these feelings about womanhood in motherhood? What do you think? Have you been able to untangle these things?
Incels.
Do you have PCOS? Incels.
What do you
Incels,
think?
rise up in the comments.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Incels.
You're not welcome here. And you know what? Controversial. Incels, you're not welcome here.
Oh, see, we said it.
I said
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Well, you're welcome.
Unless you're like a nice incel.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Involuntary celibate. But like,
I guess that's true. The archetype of incel is one thing that I think of, but if you just haven't had sex ever before, not by choice, that doesn't necessarily mean you're meanie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You're welcome.
It is not Tuesday. Not yet.
It is not Tuesday. And
we can't say goodbye. No, we can't say that last. That's too normal. And again, it's not Tuesday.
The Unwritten Aesthetic is a bi-weekly podcast from the Cohere Collective that features philosophical artist or artistic philosopher Lauren Bush and question asker and meaning maker Reese Brown. Please subscribe to The Unwritten Aesthetic wherever you may be listening, and if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving us a like, a 5-star rating, and or a review. And sharing the episode is a really wonderful way to kickstart meaningful conversations in your own life. If you want to stay up to date on all things The Unwritten Aesthetic, you can follow the Cohere Collective on any social media platform at the Cohere Collective, and check out our other content and offerings at thecoherecollective.com. To explore Lauren's work, head to laurenbushpaints.com and follow her on Instagram and YouTube at laurenbushpaints. If you're interested in working with Reese to find and pursue your purpose, head to thecoherecollective.com to explore life coaching options. A huge thank you to Jack Corbett for the Unwritten Aesthetics music, and thank you all for being here today and exploring the Unwritten Aesthetic with us. As always, we hope you feel like you are living more coherently. Until next time, love.